Hey everybody, we are going to continue working on this building that we started the other day. Now this is what we're going to try to make, something like this right here. Can you see this? Which camera am I on? That's that camera. How about that? How about that? That looks pretty cool. So this is something that Mila and I built together. These are well over 10 years old. Nice simple little building, but you know what? You throw a bunch of these out there and you can make a heck of a little village setting, you know, with something like this. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, what we're going to do next on this is, I guess, apply some of this texture, and I do make it fairly light. I don't even know if you can really get a good view of the texture that's on there. Now, some of it is implied with some of the painting, but hopefully you can see some of the texture there. Here's the back. You can see it's just kind of bumpy. I don't try to make it all, you know, spackly. I just want there to be texture there. So that's what the back looks like. Here's the side that has a window there, and here's the front. And so we're going to go through making this whole thing. Hopefully you're getting some good out of this. You know, you can either follow along and, you know, make one as we go, or come back to the video and make it later. And I actually threw another one together today. Did you see that? So we have, we actually have, what? This is the one that I made the other day on the video. And then this one I just made today. It's basically a reverse. I made the window slightly bigger. I made the dimensions ever so slightly different, just so when they're sitting next to each other, they actually look slightly different. But yeah, otherwise it's oh, and the other thing that I did, instead of recessing the roof and kind of having that lip up top, I went ahead and just did a flat roof on this one. So now, let's do some texture on this thing. What I use is a wood filler. Now, normally I would use Elmer's because that's what I normally have laying around the house. But today I couldn't find it, so I ran up to a local hardware store and picked this up instead. I want to show you what I do with it because it's all just, you know, thrown together ideas. It's a little too thick the way it is, so I like to throw some water in there, and then I'm going to give it a stir and kind of get the consistency just on the, really on the top level. And I really don't care if, you know, the more I need it, the soupier that I want it, I can always let that water sink in, or I can stir deeper, you know. So that's what I'm looking for, is some kind of soupiness to it. I don't really want it to be a heavy texture. I just want it to be, oh, a nice light texture. And again, your preferences will kind of dictate the level of texture that you like. So, another thing that I did recently is that I added a support piece to the bottom of the building. Check this out. So, I add this piece in anytime I have a fairly long span of a wall. You know, this was 4.5 inches across. That's enough that if you pick this up too often and you're pushing on the sides, that you're going to start losing some integrity there. So I like to support that with a wall, and that piece goes all the way to the ceiling. So not only is it holding those two pieces apart, but it's also supporting the roof as well in the middle where it really needs it. So it's a pretty sturdy support right there in the middle. All right, we're gonna call this good. That's some good soup right there. That's some good soup. All right. So, let's see, I think I have some paper towels around here somewhere. Certainly hope so, because things are liable to get messy. Now, you'll notice that I do not do the windows and doors yet. So, that's all going to be done after the texturing is done. So don't worry about your windows and doors. It's not actually a mistake this time. Which camera am I on? This one over here? So we're going to do all the texturing, and then we're going to put it on there. Another thing that I did is I actually used some of this latex interior, doesn't really matter, wall paint, just to give it kind of a consistent color, and also to start covering up some of the exposed foam, start to fill in some of the gaps, and also it helps make them more recognizable areas that I might need to be a little bit heavier with the spackle, with the wood filler. Let's see, so I don't need this up here anymore. And I'm going to use a brush. So that's going to help me apply a little bit of a texture to things. And that's what I want to do. I want to get inside that jamb where the door's going to go and make sure I get in there on the bottom. So all we're doing is applying the texture fairly roughly. We're not brushing it on, we're stabbing it on. I want to make sure I get into those windows. Now, the one thing to make sure of here is that you do not leave big clumps on the inside of your windows. So, the texture typically will kind of settle a little bit, and you'll lose a little bit of the texture. So it's okay to make it ever so slightly rougher than you think you want it, because you know, just depending on how much water, how much gravy you have going. So now we got texture on there. Fairly subtle, little rougher than maybe what I would want, but I also figure that it's going to settle a little bit, so I'm okay with that. Let's go on to another wall. Now this is a good time to decide, you know, do you have enough water in your wood filler, or do you need to make, make it more gravy? Check my windows, check my doors. And just checking inside these doors and windows to make sure I got good coverage in there too. Again, you don't want clumps on the inside, so I'm going to take my knife and make sure I'm clear on the inside. And the reason is because we're going to put our doors in, right? And we don't want stuff on the inside of the wall messing up or applying our doors and windows. So we're going to do that as well. Just kind of flatten it out and make sure it's nice and smooth in there on the inside. All right. I think I'm willing to just stop stabbing at it on that one. Let's take a look at it on the camera. Everything always looks a little bit different in reverse. Let's see. We'll leave it. Sometimes the imperfections and, you don't want it to be uniform. I don't like that window. That looks yucky. All right. How about that? Does that work? Okay. Gosh, sometimes you know what? Now we got to do the roof. Now we're going to do the roof. You know, I was also wanting to mention that this is the sort of thing that you could use as the basis for for like Warhammer 40K terrain, couldn't you? Use something like this. Add some sci-fi gizmos on there and use it as it could be an orc sort of building, or, it could just be some sort of settlement out in the frontier area somewhere. So you can use it for that. Or, of course, Star Wars. Absolutely no reason you couldn't do this as a sort of building that you would have on a desert planet in the Outer Rim or something like that. Star Wars, Warhammer, all those sorts of games. fun little technique to build some buildings with. So I do not do a heavy texture. I mean, this really right now looks heavy to me, but I think when it dries it may settle a little bit. Some areas of it are definitely heavier. On this area here, there's like some heavy spots, and there's some parts that really just have very little texture to it as well. Gosh, I can't do much else right now on this because I gotta let this dry before I do my doors and windows. I'm gonna go ahead and do the texture on this one as well. I'll probably I'm gonna add a little bit more water because I don't want my filler getting dried out here. Call that it for now. Right, so I think what I'm going to try to do is give this some time. I think the next stage that I'm going to do is going to require this to dry possibly overnight. So this may have to be it for this video. If you have questions about anything so far, be sure to leave it down in the comments. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you are a subscriber. Make sure you hit that bell. Hit that bell so you get a notification the next time we upload a video, because you're going to want to see how this turns out. Looking really freaking awesome right now. I'm liking these. I'm liking these. I like that color so far. You know, and you could stop here. You know, you can stop here and start throwing these on the table and say, hey, it's done. We're going to do more. We're going to do more to it. We're going to put it in the doors. We're going to put the windows in. We're also going to give it some more wash and more paint on the outside to just give it a little more character. But I'm happy with how they are so far. What do you guys think? You gonna stick with me through this? Is this all you need? Are we done with this now? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.